Hello, welcome to the Nintendo Bros podcast. This is Pete.
And this is Derek.
And Derek, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about Nintendo indie games, or indie games on the Switch, coming to the Switch, recently out on the Switch.
Or Nindies, as they call them.
Yeah, Nindies.
Now, I think it's cool that these little Nindies Directs, Nintendo Nindy Direct, they kind of come out of nowhere. The one the other day just dropped out of nowhere.
Yeah, it was totally unannounced.
Which is cool. I think it's probably a good strategy so we don't overhype these things. I think we're going to see Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I mean, Nintendo could say, we're just showing indie games, stay calm, and people would still think Metroid Prime 4 is going to get shown.
Or a Smash Bros. Character.
Oh my god, they're announcing the Nindies Direct. Shovel Knight's going to be playable, not a assist trophy. Okay, so yeah, we had the Nindies Direct the other day, and I actually went back and rewatched the Nindies Spring Direct as well.
Oh yeah?
It's interesting to kind of see what games have come out since, what games haven't come out, and what games were shown at both directs. I feel weird even calling them a direct. But
yeah, showcase?
Nindy Showcase. It's for Gamescon. Which is a event in Germany where they're showing a bunch of games, and right now, they have playable Devil May Cry 5. They announced a bunch of release dates and new games, and there's actually a couple new announcements that have surfaced. I don't know if they've surfaced because of Gamescom, but anyways, I figured we'd talk about some of those announcements first. You down with that?
Sure.
So the first one is we've got Luigi's Mansion for 3DS. The release date is October 12th in North America, October 19th in Europe. Just in time for Halloween.
Nice.
And they've basically just said that's when it's coming out, and there's a boss run. Or I think it's maybe not a boss run, but the main ghosts, the bigger ghosts with puzzles,
yeah.
like a run at that. Any thoughts on this?
I loved the game on the GameCube. I liked the 3DS. I think it's called Dark Moon.
Yeah.
I liked them both. I'm not going to get this one, though, just because all my 3DSs are in a box. I don't really want to bring it out and have to deal with another system. So as much as I would probably play that game and enjoy it, I can't go back to the 3DS, 360, 480p, whatever it is. I just couldn't do it.
240p.
Oh, can't. I just couldn't do it.
No, I agree, and we could have a whole nother conversation about the 3DS a different day, but this just kind of sounds like, it sounds like something I would have bought maybe 3 years ago.
Agreed.
But Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, which I loved, came out in 2013, early 2013, and I don't know why it's over 5 years later that we're getting a remake of the first one. It sounds like they're just kind of pumping it out.
The only thing I can imagine is if they're gonna try to put a third new one or make it a trilogy and put them all on the Switch.
Well, I don't necessarily think 1 and 2 will ever come to Switch, just because they were designed specifically for the 3DS. They need to be basically new games.
Not
sort
really.
of, not really, but
it's like what's on the other screen, the map. I would say that
all I'm saying is the graphics really would need to be upgraded. They just
yeah. The only thing all I'm trying to say is that I think there's a good chance of a third one coming out for the Switch. The problem is they're going to base it on sales of this game, and this game's not going to have very good sales.
Okay, well, let me interject. I don't agree with that. I don't think they're going to base the potential of a third Luigi's Mansion on this. If there's a third Luigi's Mansion coming, it's probably in development from Next Level Games in Vancouver, and it's probably already in development. These games, they took about 3 or 4 years on Dark Moon. I don't know how long this remake's taken. I don't even actually know if it's Next Level Games doing it. But I think they know the 3DS. They clearly know sales of 3DS are dropping.
Yeah.
They're not expecting Luigi's Mansion remake years later to outsell Dark Moon. But I think you're right. I think it's a case of maybe the third one's coming down the line, a big new reinvention of the series maybe, and beautiful graphics, and they figured, hey, we've got the engine up and running on the 3DS. Why not just remake this little game and get it out there for the remaining audience?
Exactly, yeah.
And there's a lot. We can really talk about this later with keeping the 3DS alive, but I think it's smart of them to keep the 3DS alive with these little games. because it keeps the 3DS on the shelf. It keeps people thinking the 3DS is a real thing. And if Nintendo just said, no, we're not making any more games for it, it would fade away and die. Where sales, as much as they are dropping, they are chugging along pretty decently. Pokemon Go, the mobile game, helped sell Pokemon and 3DS again, new 2DS remodels. Like, it's smart of them to continue this.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you might as well squeeze out every penny they can for the 3DS.
Yeah, and at the same time, I'm upset that games like Bowser's Inside Story are not coming to the Switch. I kind of understand because those games were developed on a 2-screen layout. And
that game for sure has to be on the 2-screen.
Yeah, and I think maybe Luigi Mansion isn't quite the same, but I think to really redesign it for the Switch with brand new HD graphics, like they'd have to remodel everything.
Yeah.
Versus just making a port. So, anyways, that's happening. I'm sure some of our listeners are interested in Luigi's Mansion. Another piece of news came out just today is that the Dark Souls remake for Switch is been slotted for October 19th.
Do you say slotted or slaughtered? Because did you also hear the announcement that...
Yes, I was just about to say that, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So we've known about that for about 2 weeks or so now, about the release date for Dark Souls Remastered. But just today we've learned that the Dark Souls trilogy is coming out for Xbox One and PS4 on the same exact day.
So while Switch is getting the first game remastered, Xbox and PS4 are getting the first one remastered, the second one and the third one with all downloadable content included in a steel case. So I can't imagine the Switch might suffer some sales from that. However, the people that are going to get Dark Souls on Switch are getting it for its portability. So I think it might still do okay.
Yeah, is the Dark Souls trilogy is Dark Souls 1 the remaster, or is that just the original?
No, it is the remastered. People that bought the Dark Souls remastered for PS4 or Xbox like 4 months ago are angry because they're like, oh, well, I would have waited if I known about that.
Wow. I mean, to me, this is a really bad decision on Namco's part. I mean, I don't think it's not going to slaughter the Switch sales. I think you're right. I think people who want it on portable are going to get it on portable, and Switch has its own kind of ecosystem. So I don't think it's necessarily going to terribly affect that. I think, the Switches could have sold a lot better had it come out in May as originally planned, but I agree. I'd be more upset if I had bought the Dark Souls remaster and then found out about this.
Yeah, I agree. Have you ever played the Dark Souls game?
I have on PS3.
I've never played any of them, so I'm gonna get the trilogy.
Well, you played Bloodborne.
I played Bloodborne, but I've never played the Dark Souls games, so I'm pretty excited actually for that trilogy announcement. But I'm not getting the Switch version.
Were you ever planning to get the Switch version?
No.
No. What if it had only come out on Switch?
Honestly, I'm just someone that if there's a series of games, especially a trilogy, I can't just buy one of them for one system and then not play the other two for a different system. I just couldn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, it depends how you approach these games. I mean, to me, I would never approach the Dark Souls game saying, "Oh, I need to complete the whole trilogy." I just don't love them that much. I think if I was gonna get into one, I played Bloodborne, but if I did get the Dark Souls remaster, I probably would get it on Switch, just to have something to kind of pick away at on a handheld.
Yeah.
I don't feel the same with the handheld in portable games. I don't feel the same level of needing to complete the games as I do on a console. I don't know why.
Oh, I'm the opposite. Every game I buy has to be finished.
Yeah, you're 100% completionist, and I'm a giver-upper.
Yes, you are.
Which is a good segue because I know you're talking about Hollow Knight, and this is a new announcement. Not really Nintendo related, but Hollow Knight has been announced for other consoles. It's coming to Xbox One and PS4 next year, 2019.
Oh, it's 2019, eh?
Yeah, 2019.
And it's getting a physical release.
It's getting a physical release, I believe, only on PS4 and the Switch.
Yep.
Are you going to buy physical? I know you're a big fan.
I don't know. Maybe if they added some extra content, maybe. But
I don't think they will.
I don't think they will either. And to me, indie games I'm okay not having the physical version of. So I'm okay with just having that game as downloaded.
Yeah. I love Hollow Knight. I'm almost beaten it.
How do you know?
Because I only need one. Anyways, I don't want to talk about. We'll talk about Hollow Knight later because I guess it's related to our Indies thing. But I have 2 of the 3 boss tokens.
You're nowhere near the end.
Well,
Maybe
further,
the
further than
most
my
basic way of beating the game. Sure.
Well, good. I like my games to never end. Um, but yeah, I'm glad it's coming out to other consoles. I'm curious how it'll sell on PS4 and Xbox One. Just my own curiosity. I know it sold really well on the Switch. I think this was a great timed exclusive for Nintendo to get. It definitely had an impact being exclusive for nearly a year. And it kind of felt like being a Metroidvania style game, it did kind of feel like it belonged on Nintendo.
Yeah, it felt at home. I agree.
I mean, I hope that Team Cherry goes and makes the next Metroid. I know that's a dream people have, but I think that Nintendo gave them a nice budget and unlimited time and says, hey, in your animated style, we want you to do another Metroid game.
Yeah. And speaking of Hollow Knight, for those that do have it on the Nintendo Switch, its new DLC pack comes out this Thursday, so in 2 days from now, the 23rd of August.
Wow.
I think it's called Gods in Glory, and it's totally free. So,
wow. I mean, most of our listeners are probably going to hear this when it's already out, so go check it out. And is that DLC just coming out of nowhere, or is it like you have to go download it? Like, how does that work?
it should just be part of like an update, and it's an automatic update.
So your game will automatically update, which I have it on auto, so I don't even see the updates. So I'll just turn it on one day, and basically
There'll be new content, a new section, new bosses, kind of stuff. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to that. Probably for me, I'll still be beating the regular game, so maybe I'll be able to kind of dip into that section before I beat it.
Well, I mean, you have all the other DLC you haven't touched yet either. So.
Well, the thing is, in my current game of Hollow Knight, I don't know what's DLC and what's not. I just bought the game as is, and to me, I could be playing DLC areas that I don't even know are DLC.
Yeah, but you're not.
Okay. Because I know the new one it's supposed to be a new section of the world, right?
The new one, I think, is a new section of the world, yeah.
Yeah, so I wonder how they integrate that. I mean, is it something where you have to go to that section and get an upgrade, leave and do something and come back? Or is it kind of like you can just go to that new section and, let's say, hollow out that entire section, you know?
I don't know, yeah. I think the main thing they're focusing on is adding new bosses or changing up old bosses and making them harder. But other than that, I don't know.
Okay. I mean, that sounds cool. It's exciting.
Yep.
Love Hollow Knight. Next piece of news here, we've got Grandia 1 and 2 HD remaster announced for Switch.
Yeah, I saw that. I've never even heard of these games till then, but
yeah, I'm not sure who develops Grandia. I think it's one of the smaller Japanese developers. And I'm just looking it up right now. And I looked up a video of it. Have you ever seen any bits of it?
no, I think it's an RPG kind of game though, isn't it? It's like a
Yeah.
JRPG.
Yeah, it's an RPG, and the publisher is Gung Ho. It's weird because
Okay.
when I used to hear about Grandia, I always thought it was like Square or Capcom or like it was a big developer's game. I didn't realize it was like this kind of smaller publisher.
Oh, see, I thought it was small, but I thought it was a strategy RPG. I thought it was more like Shin Megami Tensei, or even Dissidia.
No,
Is that
I think it's like a turn-based RPG.
Yeah, it's turn-based. Yeah.
And I believe it originally came out on like the Dreamcast and PS1 and Dreamcast. And it's got this really cool kind of like Mario RPG isometric view, but with a 3D camera. I heard number one's a lot better than number two, but I mean, I think for RPG fans, this is great. I don't know if I would get it because I'm not a huge RPG fan, let alone like classic RPGs. So I probably won't get it, but people seem to be really stoked on it. Interestingly, it's only coming to Switch in Steam. It's not coming to PS4 or Xbox One.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And to be honest, it sounds like one of those games that does sound kind of cozy to just lie back and play on your handheld. Like it reminded me, the graphic style a little bit reminded me of Skies of Arcadia.
Yeah.
Kind of like that high-end Dreamcast era, like late N64 era, Dreamcast era.
Yeah, I was gonna say late PS1.
Yeah, like that kind of like world of good like still polygonal, but good style. And some of those games have amazing music.
Yeah.
So I don't know, something to maybe look forward to. I think it comes out next year.
Yeah. I mean, if you're into JRPGs, it's definitely worth checking out.
The last piece of news before we get into our Nindies talk is Diablo 3 was announced for Switch.
Yep. Very awesome.
Yeah, I thought the announcement was funny. Did you see the video with Reggie and the head of Blizzard?
Yeah, and the video actually looked like, to me, it was pulled from like, we found out that Diablo 3 was actually leaked like a day early.
Yeah,
and then the
from
video
Forbes.
came out.
Forbes
so
leaked
to me, it actually looked like that was part of a direct. They actually just took out and put as its own little preview because it was leaked. So I'm not sure. That's my
that's not
out there belief.
That's not what happened, because when it was leaked, Forbes leaked it. Forbes magazine, like they released it a day early. So all the other websites and journalists, they had an embargo for the next day. So people knew that it was real when they leaked it, because another, I can't remember his name, another journalist came out on Twitter and said, oh, they broke embargo. So the day that it came out in the trailer and all the previews came out from all the journalists was planned for that day.
Okay, I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah, but there are some interesting tidbits about things that people know are coming that weren't shown off in the Nindies yesterday that makes people think maybe there is a direct coming soon. I really think there probably is a direct coming in September.
Oh yeah, I agree, 100%.
100% almost, yeah, because they really got to show us these fall titles. I think we need to see another Smash Bros. Character.
I think they got to show us a bit more of Pokemon Go and how it works with Pokemon Go.
Yep. And I think if there's any more titles to release this year, September's kind of the last chance. I mean, last year they announced Doom in September and released it in November. So, and I mean, they just announced Diablo 3, which will probably, come out over the course of the fall. I'm guessing it'll come out in November.
Oh, they didn't say? I thought it was, for some reason, I thought it said October. Maybe I'm going crazy.
I mean, I really don't know, but I would guess November, early November, because right now Pokemon Go in late November is kind of the only big Switch release. So
yeah.
I think it would help them to have some sort of game that for audiences that aren't necessarily interested in Pokemon Go, like myself. It would be good to have that kind of Black Friday game.
Yeah.
I think last year they had Skyrim along with Mario and games like that. So Diablo 3, are you going to buy it?
I'm conflicted. Like, I probably will, just because I'd like to play with you and some people, and it's fun to. I think it's one of the games that for sure is a great game to have on the go, and you can always just pick up and play 25 minutes offline, and you can always go back, bring your character back online and play with friends. So it looks really good. I have a few concerns. One is the enemy density. Someone mentioned that it looks like there's a lot less enemies on the screen than in the other versions of the game. But again, they're still working on it, so hopefully that gets bumped up. And also, it's just hard. I own the game on 2 other systems right now, so for me to buy it a third time at full price is a little bit pushing it.
What do you have it on? What, PS3 and PS4?
I got it on the computer first, the day it came out. I'm a big Blizzard fan. And then I got it on PS4 the day that came out. And but the only thing is I've never played. There's an expansion that came out, I don't know, a year ago that I never got around to playing with a brand new character. So if I was going to get on the Switch, I'd play that character and I'd get that little extra expansion out of it. But to pay $60 for that is questionable, or even more.
Well, I mean, so $60 up here in Canada is basically like $90 after tax.
Yeah, 90. So I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I gotta see the price, and I gotta decide in the moment, I think.
Yeah, I mean, my friend, Dave, he wants to get it too. He loves Diablo, but he was kind of saying, this isn't the kind of game we need to buy right away. He's like, if you wait even a year, then the price will drop. You'll be able to get it used. He just didn't recommend picking it up brand new.
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, so I'm kind of in that boat too, where if I have an extra $90 to blow this holiday, I think there's other options that I'd rather go for, because knowing Diablo 3's already been released, it's probably more likely to drop in price.
Yeah, it dropped in price quickly.
Well, that said, though, I've never played Diablo 3. I think it looks cool. I saw some gameplay videos of it. It looks smooth. It looked fun. And it looks like the kind of game that would be really fun with a couple friends. And my understanding is that if I'm playing Diablo 3 on my Switch at home, I can save my character, go to a friend's house who has Diablo 3, leave my Switch at home, but because I've saved my character on, I guess, their BattleNet, I can load my character onto their Switch, play cooperatively, upgrade my guy, get some weapons, whatever, save it, and go back home and all my things have saved.
I'm not 100% sure about that.
I mean, that's a really cool feature that I think every game should have.
So that exists on the PC. I'm not sure with the PS4. I think the way the PS4 worked was if you played on your PS4 and had your character, you had to save it to the cloud, then come to my place and then download it from the cloud onto my PS4's hard drive and then open your account and then you'd have your character there.
Yeah, but not yours.
But mine would be saved on my account. Do you know what I mean? Like
exactly.
So I just don't. I think it's possible, but I just don't know how that worked with consoles. But,
I mean, at the end of the day, I'd probably just bring my Switch over to my friend's house because that's why I have a Switch. But
the thing that I like more is you can play the game offline with your character, and then whenever you want to play online, that same character you can just bring online. So it's like you don't really. There's not like an online game and an offline game. It's seamlessly together.
Okay, wasn't it always online before?
The PC is still always online, but they just couldn't feasibly do that for the consoles.
It makes sense, especially for Switch. People are saying, "Wow!" I saw someone on Reset Era say, "Wow, it's not always online."
Yeah,
and I just thought to myself, "Well, how could it always be online if they're promoting being a portable game?" You know, I mean,
yeah.
I get that. Maybe Fortnite is always online because how do you play that game offline? And same with Paladins and games like that. But for something like Diablo, in the trailer, there's people playing it in the car.
Yeah, but it was originally looked at as an online-only game. But then when it came for consoles, it was changed. The thing that's interesting though is when you have an offline version, it makes it a lot easier for cheating. So there's people in the PS4 version that have stats that have 9999999 because they can do all this stuff in offline and then bring it online.
Yeah, but the online's cooperative anyways, isn't it?
Yeah, you don't ever have to deal with those people. You can make a game so they never join. You can.
Yeah, so it's kind of like
it's totally fine. It just means there are people that do that.
Yeah, I mean it's not like it's totally different if it's not competitive. Like competitive, they've got to crack down on the cheaters. But if it's cooperative and it's mostly an adventure game,
have fun with it.
Yeah, exactly. Like who cares? Cheat if you want. Like
And,
you're only cheating yourself.
Exactly. It's like that's the fun of the game.
It's like, hey, I just bought the game and I have everything in 1 hour. I beat the game in 1 hour. It's like, well, you just paid $90 for 1 hour.
Yeah, exactly.
Good job.
Another thing about that game is they said there's a Ganondorf costume.
Yep. Ganon, I think, right? No, Ganondorf.
I think it's Ganondorf. And then they also showed a picture. I don't know if you saw this, but there's a picture of Link armor, a Hylian shield and Master Sword, and a green tunic.
It's not in the game.
But it's not in the game. It's in the developer mode only, and they're not keeping it in for the game. Which I'm surprised, but I'm sure there's a Nintendo reason for that. But
I mean, I'm sure they didn't want to see someone dressed up as Link slaughtering people.
Yeah, but Ganondorf is cool, eh?
Ganondorf. I mean, I actually think it makes sense. Like, hey, it's a mature rated game, I think, right? It'll be rated
Oh,
M.
yes. M for sure.
So, of course they don't want Link in it. You know what I mean? I think it's cool that they allowed Ganondorf in it. Like, even that seems like Nintendo's pushing their boundary a little bit.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, they used to be this is Nintendo that back in the day they didn't want blood in their Mortal Kombat. Yeah. They literally told Midway, they said no blood in Mortal Kombat 1 on SNES. It was kind of started that whole kitty thing, I think. Sorry, one more question about Diablo. I understand when Diablo 3 first came out, there was a little bit of controversy, like people didn't love it or something.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that were very poorly received about it.
And it's been patched, some of those things?
It's like first patch its first major change was huge, and then its first expansion, like it's so overhauled now. To play the original game to now is like monumentally different. Like the game is actually very fun, very good now. The game when it first came out on PC was like so bad and so stale for several reasons.
Wow, I heard that there's some complaints about the graphical style they used.
Yeah, there were complaints about because people were used to the Diablo 2, which was isometric, and I believe it was sprite based even, and it just looked very good, and or just had a certain aesthetic feature. And this one is 3D models. It looked more like, you know, the World of Warcraft, a little more cartoony. But that wasn't the biggest problem. There were a few problems. One, they had a real money auction house, which was a huge problem because then the goal was to get any kind of value out of items. So people would just farm and then sell their items for actual real dollar money. And it created this weird item gold dollar ecosystem that just like wasn't healthy. And then the items became really stale. Like they didn't have since it was money built around money in an auction house, they had to be careful with the drop rates of how often people got powerful items, or else the market would be flooded.
Yeah, I mean, I think that whole market value of in-game items to me is, I don't understand that. I think that shouldn't really be allowed in games.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So it did, and then people that didn't want to spend money said, well, this is stupid because I don't want to spend $10 for this item, but since it's worth $10, it's never going to drop for me. It has like a 0.00001% drop. So the Blizzard said, screw it, we're getting rid of the auction house, and all the drop rates of all the powerful items are increased. So now you can actually find fun weapons to play with.
It sounds like to add an auction house style thing in your game sounds like just a pure money grab.
Yeah, I think Blizzard made 15% off every transaction.
Exactly, and what are they selling? Digital code that they're able to. They're like basically creating their own currency.
Yeah,
and it's kind of twisted. I mean, it's just not something. Video games are supposed to be fun. They're supposed to be things that kids can play it. And I mean, I guess Diablo 3 is not really a kids game, but you know, it's not a good habit to get into. I'm pretty against microtransactions, and I'm even
this isn't even a microtransaction. This is even worse.
But this is even worse.
They took it out like after like 4 months or something. So it's way better now. They added expansions. There's so much more item diversity, character diversity. Like they just changed everything. There's more things to do after you beat the game. Originally, it was just like you had to do the same story over and over again. Now they've added all these daily missions, different quests you can do, all these extra optional dungeons. So they've added a lot there.
Well, it sounds like there's a lot. It's a content full. I mean, it sounds like you're going to get a lot out of it.
Yeah, and I'm just going to give you one counterpoint is, so as far as the real money auction house, yeah, most people didn't like it, but I had some friends that made like hundreds and hundreds of dollars off the games that they covered their game and then some. So it's kind of like, you know, you got a free game.
You got to wonder if all those hours spent playing Diablo were just working minimum wage, would they have made the same amount of money, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Was that person actually having fun playing the game?
Yeah, so it's like, at what point are you like, hey, I can make money in this game. Well, I'm going to ruin the game for myself and not play it properly and just farm. And also, you know, I'm only making $6 an hour. Like, who are you fooling? But
yeah, exactly.
Maybe they did well. I don't know.
But yeah, Diablo 3 coming out. It's one of the best-selling games of all time, so it's going to be a good game.
Best-selling games of all time, really?
I know it's in like 40 millions or something like that. It's pretty
really.
It's pretty high up there.
Well, I mean, I'm not surprised. Blizzard's very popular, especially overseas. Do you hope for any? I mean, it's good to see Blizzard developing on a Nintendo console again, though. I mean, it's been a long time since that has happened.
Sorry, more than 30 million. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm glad they're moving to the consoles. Especially, I love Overwatch. So I'm glad they brought that to consoles. I'm curious about Diablo 4. There's rumors about Diablo 4, so we'll see if that comes out on consoles at the same time as PC. I mean, Blizzard through and through is still a computer-based company, so.
Well, watch. Oh, sorry, yawning. Watch Diablo 4 get announced, and it's coming out the same day as Diablo 3.
No, that's not how Blizzard works. Blizzard says, "Oh, we're making this game. It's coming out in 3 years." That's how
they announce far out.
That's how they always do it.
They didn't do that with Overwatch.
Yeah, they did.
Did they? Wow.
Overwatch was announced like 2 or 3 years earlier.
Wow. So, is there any other games that you hope Blizzard brings to Nintendo consoles, or what?
I mean, I think Overwatch would be awesome, but again, if my account didn't carry over, I wouldn't get it on the Switch. Like I have it on PS4, I put so many hours on it in costumes and all that kind of stuff that I wouldn't want to start that again.
Yeah, I agree.
But any future game, a game that I think they should put on the Switch is Hearthstone, that really popular card game.
No kidding. I mean, there was rumors about that when Switch was first announced, so I think that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, it's like I'm surprised there aren't more card games on the Switch right now. Like you'd think there'd be a Yu-Gi-Oh on there. You'd think because I mean like they
Do
clearly have
people
some.
still play Yu-Gi-Oh? Like,
It's still a pretty popular video game.
wow.
Yeah, and I mean like they know Konami. They're somewhat close with Konami, and I just am surprised there aren't more card games. It seems like the screen, the portability, everything is built around having some really great card games on that system.
Well, to me, there's not really a ton of good card games or popular card games in the first place. As far as
Hearthstone, Yu-Gi-Oh,
but,
Gwent, the
but
new
with,
Witcher 3 Gwent game.
I don't know anything about the Witcher 3 Gwent game, but that's mobile only, isn't it?
I think it's PC too.
Okay, I mean, I think the thing with a lot of these types of games is that when they go mobile, they're kind of hoping for the big cash cow.
Yeah,
Where
so
there's
making
only
100 million.
yeah, there's only so much money you're gonna make off selling it for a cost on a console with a limited user base.
Yeah, but Hearthstone they make it a free game on the Switch, same as always.
But how do they make their money on Hearthstone? It was good.
You buy card packs.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I mean, I think Hearthstone on Switch is a no-brainer. They could even charge money for it.
They could do the same. I'm just saying they could do the same thing with Yu-Gi-Oh. Like Yu-Gi-Oh games sell pretty well.
Yeah. I mean, the most I could hope for. I mean, I'm trying to think of the catalog of games from Blizzard, and I mean, I have Overwatch on PS4. I don't think I'd rebuy that on Switch. I don't think StarCraft would work on Switch. So I mean, I think Diablo 3 is pretty much the best they could get, and other than Hearthstone. Although I did think it would be cool if just the fact that Ganon is in Diablo 3, if they had like a Ganon exclusive DLC, something like that, where you're fighting maybe Legend of Zelda characters.
Like knights or something. Yeah, that'd be okay.
That'd be cool. I mean, I don't see it happening.
I think it'd be cooler if they added actual. Like right now, we don't know if it's just a look or it's actual items. It'd be cool if they added actual items.
Well, they have a few. They have the chicken, I think, from Zelda.
Yeah, I think that's something that just follows you around, though. It's like, is there actual stat changing, gameplay changing items as opposed to just like cosmetic things?
Who knows? I mean, I know they've put in, they've been developing the game for 9 months, and they've had Nintendo had to kind of come in and help them a little bit, I guess, with some of the optimization. I've heard of rumblings of Nintendo doing that with a couple developers.
Oh, that's cool.
And interesting, and Blizzard's a Western developer, so it's like, was it their Nintendo of America that kind of helped them, or maybe they have some sort of new software development kit for the Switch? I don't know. All I know is that the system seems to be getting more and more optimized for different levels of games.
Yeah.
So should we jump into this Nindies chat or what?
Let's do it.
Okay, so I've got a list here. I actually watched the Indies from I watched the Nindies from the spring. I just interesting to see. There's a couple games in there that I wanted to talk about before we jump into Nindies, the Gamescom one from the other day. There's this game West of Loathing.
Okay, I've never heard of it. I'll look it up.
Okay, it's on. It was shown in the spring Nindies, and I've heard people talk about it. It's got an 85 on Metacritic, and it's kind of like a.
Oh, it's like stick figure. Okay.
It's like black and white stick figures, but it's like it's an RPG almost in the vein of like South Park Stick of Truth or Paper Mario. I mean, it looks cool. I just haven't bit the bullet to buy it.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like one of those games you want to play but you don't want to buy.
Yeah, I mean, I would buy it for maybe $5. I don't know if I would buy it for 15 or whatever the price is, but
yeah, totally. Okay, so yeah, I mean that's cool. If any of our listeners have played this game, let us know. The other game that interested me and showed up during these last two games actually showed up the other day as well. This one called The Messenger.
nope.
I don't think it did show up yesterday, but it comes out on August 30th. So I'm surprised it didn't make an appearance yesterday. But I think they just announced the release date a week or so ago, and it's like an old school kind of like, it looks like Ninja Gaiden.
Okay.
And it's coming out for Switch and the PC, I believe. I don't think it's coming out for X1 or PS4 yet.
Oh, this game looks cool.
It looks really cool, and the cool thing about it is that you can switch between 8-bit and 16-bit visual style.
Yeah.
And it's treated kind of like a time travel mechanic.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
So, I mean, from what I've seen, this game looks pretty cool, and it's on my radar to pick up. It's only $20 too. It really comes down to the length and the controls. Like how does it feel in my hands? Because that's a big part of what I like about indie games, especially 2D games.
Yeah.
The other game that showed up in the spring and also showed up yesterday is this game called Bad North.
Yeah, I bought that game. I'll talk about it in a little. I'll talk about it now if you want.
Okay, well, why don't you talk about it? So you bought it yesterday? It came out yesterday.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of strategy RPG or strategy tactic kind of games like Fire Emblem, even Advanced Wars or StarCraft. So I was like, okay, this game looks kind of cool, quick and easy, bite-sized little levels. You can upgrade your armies and then strategically place them on the island. Not at all what I expected the game was going to be. It turned out to be quite a different game than what I thought, and I really don't like the game.
Wow, wow.
Yeah, I regret buying it. I actually talked to the company. Let me just check the company. But they had an AMA or Ask Me Anything on Reddit yesterday, and I actually asked them a few questions about the game, and they responded to me.
Okay, what'd you ask? So slow down. So first, why don't you like the game? And then I want to hear what you asked them, what they said.
Yeah, so I originally thought the game was a progression-based game where you get progressively stronger, you get better units, and you had to tackle each island, and you can kind of pick the island you go to because there's some branching paths.
That's what I gathered from the trailer as well.
Yeah, get a stronger army, get it unlocked, get items, whatever. It's not at all. I mean, it is that, but the thing is, when you lose one of your squads, they're gone forever. They're gone permanently. And when you lose all your squads, like all your army, you game over and you have to start from the very beginning again. You don't have any progression, no items, no unlocks, no upgrades. Everything starts from the beginning again.
Is it procedurally generated?
It's procedurally generated, yeah.
So it's, yeah.
So a lot of people use the term roguelite for these kind of games where it's procedurally generated and then every time you die you have to restart from the beginning. However, this game has zero overarching progression. So nothing I do in one game will ever impact the next game.
And you know what? That's the same thing I heard online, and the reason why I completely lost interest in it.
So that's one. And the second thing is, this game it's one thing for a game like Dead Cells. It kind of is the same idea. Dead Cells is quick. In 5 seconds, you're in the action. You're rolling around. You're having fun. This game is a strategy tactical game. It's the first 45 minutes is slow. It's boring, and it's easy. So it's like I'm just replaying the same 45 minutes every time I die later on, and it's so boring. I already learned how to tactically do these every time. And also, this game is so bare bones. There's about 5 different items you can get in this game, and they spawn the same places every time. So it's like I don't get any new item the next time I play. It's like, oh, I already have got this 6 times every playthrough.
Wow.
And then lastly, I've encountered 2 different bugs in the game so far. One where every single picture became a white rectangle. I kid you not, it was just a blank white rectangle in the game. And the second thing is, in one of the levels, the enemy stopped appearing, so I couldn't beat the level. And I couldn't quit the level, because if you quit the level in this game, it considers it a game over. So you can't quit the level, and you can't beat the level, so I had to reset the game. And then I picked the same level, and it did the same problem. So I can't progress forward anymore because of this bug.
And here's the thing, like, can you get a refund on a broken game like that?
I'm not sure. I didn't even bother looking into it. Maybe I should contact Nintendo. I just didn't really want to go through the hassle.
How much did it cost?
It was $20 for Canadian. And
so it's like $30.
No, it's $20 Canadian.
Oh, so it was like $10.
Yeah,
$10.
I spent Canadian $20.
Yeah, okay. That's not bad. That's not bad. I mean, basically that means it costs like $10 American and then plus.
To me, though, it wasn't worth $5 Canadian. That's seriously how bare bones this game is. It's repetitive. It's so unfun.
So let me add a couple thoughts here. For one, I think the visual style of this game looks really cool.
It's the one That's the one thing I gave it points for.
I almost to the point where I was watching the videos of it on the Nindies Direct, and I said, this has got to be a cutscene. Like, I don't even believe it runs as well. Like, does it look as good and run as well as it looks on the video? Or
it's pretty smooth. If you try to tax it, like if you're spinning your camera and you're zooming in and out while spinning the camera and moving all your arms at the same time, you can get the frame rate down to like single-digit frames per second.
Oh, you can really chug it down, eh?
Yeah, but for them, like
Wait,
if you're doing
single-digit frames per second? That
yeah,
bad?
it's like like that.
Wow.
But you're never gonna do that. In normal standard play, the frame rate is totally fine.
Okay, and it gives you a full 360 camera, or is it kind of like in Rabbids, Mario versus Rabbids, where it's like you get a 4-point camera?
You get full. You can rotate it full 360.
Okay, so yeah, that looks cool, the graphics. But the other thing I wonder is, these roguelite games and procedurally generated style games. It's just like, why? Some games Dead Cells seems more suited for it because we can talk about that a little bit later. But it seems to me most games that are procedurally generated don't work, and it's kind of just a buzzword.
It's trying to create variety, but the thing is, like, there's not enough content to make it worthwhile to play this game multiple times. It's like I would actually really enjoy this game if when I lost an island, I would just be able to play that island again and try again. The thing is, like, another point I want to say about why this game is bad is you can let's say an island's too tough for you, you can run away and keep your guys, and then you didn't game over. You know what I mean? You can like.
But you still lost all your guys, right?
No, you can flee the island and keep your guys alive. The problem with that, though, this is what I talked to them about Reddit. I said, what do I do when I game over? Is there any way to stay alive? And they said, you can leave the island. The problem is the game also pushes you forward. So once every turn is a new island, and every turn they take away islands catching up to you. Like, think of like a line that catches up to you. Yep. So you can't go backwards. So if I leave an island because it was too hard, I can't go to easier islands. I have to go to now a harder island. So not only did I not beat the one I just played, they're forcing me to go to a harder one. It's bad game design.
Wow. And you know what? I wonder how hard would it have been for these designers to basically say, okay, we've made this procedurally generated, I guess, score-based version of the game. How hard is it for them to say now, okay, well, we have this engine for procedurally generated maps. Why don't we just make an easy, medium, hard option? So
they do have two difficulties.
But I mean, a difficulty where it's like, here's the easy option where here's 10 islands, we've already chosen them, we know this is easy. Here's medium, here's 10 islands, we know they what they are. You know what I mean? Like make it more designed so you're playing a mode not thinking, well, hey, this is a totally randomized, procedurally generated map. But you're actually saying, no, these are hand-picked maps for this playthrough. So yeah,
the maps. I have no problem with the maps or even the difficulty of the map. For example, it's more just like losing your progression. It's like if this game had a casual mode where it said if you die and game over, you can just restart it. Everyone would play that mode. That's how bad the design is right now.
Wow, and you know what? The other thing too is that if you die on an island, why can't you just restart from before you chose, like with all the same troops you had before you went to that island?
Exactly. Why not do that? Or if you're going to make it procedurally generated, why not spend, I don't know, a week and put 30 different items in the game? Give me more than, there are literally 4 or 5 items that I've come across. Yeah. And I played this game for like 8 hours just to make sure I fully understood it.
Yeah.
It's like, just put in 30 items. There's 3 classes. Put in 10 classes of different warriors. Give me something so it's like when I play it again, at least I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna try something totally different. There is nothing else to do differently than what I've done every time I play the game.
And make the items drop in different places and shake it up a bit, right?
Anything. It's just like, it's so monotonous and repetitive. It's like, give me something that I can do differently. Every single time I play, the first hour, the first 8 islands is get this sword guy, get this bow guy, get this item, put them here, get this. Yeah. It's like, it's so
teaching
boring.
You all over again, and you know, I think my whole point about the having an easy, medium, hard mode is that, you know, to have a mode that's not procedurally generated, to have a mode that says no, this easy adventure is not procedurally generated at all. Here's 10 islands, and if you die, you can go back to the island before. Like making it more of a adventure to complete.
I would love that game. Because the core gameplay of this game is actually somewhat fun, but it's just so the overall idea is so poorly implemented. I can't recommend this game to anyone. Save your money.
So, how did the developers take it during the Reddit AMA? I'm
Well,
sure a
everyone-
lot of people complained.
Most people. Well, the thing is, they know because their AMA was the moment the game was announced. Like it was like an hour later, and most people hadn't played the game at all, or
Oh.
significantly as long as I had.
Great.
Because I sat down and bought the game, and I sat down and played for 4 hours, and then it turns out the game is bad.
4 hours you'll never get back.
Well, I kept playing after to make sure that my criticism was justified because I don't want to be one of those people that criticizes, especially a company's first game, without actually playing it thoroughly. But yeah, I really don't recommend this game. Not worth your money. Save your money.
Now, I wonder if they will patch it, DLC improve it, something.
I don't think so. I think in their AMA they said they had no plans to do that.
It's kind of they just dropped it and that's it, eh?
I think they from what I saw, it's their first game. They're happy that it came out, that it works well, whatever. But I think they know it's their first game, and I think they know it's missing a lot of or they just don't realize that there's a lot of things that good games need that it does not have.
Like, testing.
Yeah, well, I mean, it does work well. Besides for those bugs that I encountered, and I've seen other people that encountered a lot of game-breaking bugs too. But I just mean, I shouldn't have bought the game knowing it's their first game. It's like these guys have not proven reliable, and I don't think. I mean, Hollow Knight to me is they're a rare exception of having their first game be amazing, where this company is not.
Well, I think something to keep in mind is that if you're going to be that early adopter, I feel if I'm going to be the first moment adopter before reviews are even out, then it's kind of on me to share my opinion. So I'm glad that you're letting people know and you're hopefully posting about it on Reset Era. And
I have 20 posts in that thread.
Good, yeah, because you don't want other people to fall for it, and we don't want these developers to. I mean, at the same time, I want to support the indie development community. We want to support the right efforts, right?
Totally. I mean, even on Reddit, I followed up. And I told them, I said, I regret buying your game. I said this to them. I said, but I think you guys have good talent, and I think your next game will be great. And I said, but here's the problems I have with this game, and I regret buying the game.
Yeah, and, it's not good you told them, but it is disappointing that it sounds like it's an example. And I feel like there's a lot of indie games like this where it's like, hey, they figured something out that works. Launch it now. You know what I mean? Versus saying, okay, now we've got everything working. Now let's really go in and flesh this out and design it really well. You know what I mean? It's like, go that extra mile.
It feels like it feels like a test concept, almost like a demo idea that they just put out. I totally agree.
I mean, and the thing that's too bad is something like this. You look at something like this and you think, if you just had a little bit more time to design it and add a little bit more to it and maybe flesh out some modes and give people options to continue playing and it could have been a huge hit.
If they had made it $5, I would have been okay with it. Or if they had said, here's 40 more items, here's 10 more classes, but everything else is the same and you lose everything at the beginning, at least there's enough variety there where I would like it. Or if they made it, actual path and progression based, though any of those three things, I would have liked a lot more, but they didn't do any of them, and it's not worth it.
Personally, I don't see the point of these. I'm very turned off of procedurally generated games. I like Dead Cells. I think is the only game I've ever liked it in. I appreciate what No Man's Sky was doing, and I guess there's Binding of Isaac, but it's a little bit different. But
well, Diablo 3 is all procedurally generated.
Really?
Yeah, every single dungeon.
But at least it's like, here's level 1. It's going to be different.
Yes,
but
you're right. Yes.
You still beat level 1 and get your stuff and move on.
Yeah, you do the same missions in the same chapters. Yeah,
I guess what I have a problem with is the whole procedurally generated, once you die, you start from the beginning. I mean, I guess it's called a roguelite.
Yeah, but I would have loved it in this game. I would have no problem with it in this game, which is it's my biggest criticism right now because it is so repetitive. The first hour of the game is, literally the last time I played it, I sat on my phone texting, and I didn't touch the game because the first few levels are so easy, it automatically will win me the level.
Wow,
it takes like 8 minutes a level. It's like there's 30 minutes of my day sitting there waiting to get to the more difficult content.
It's like they thought they were adding so much replay value by making it procedurally generated, but really they're just making people not want to keep playing it.
Seriously.
Or if you just made like a series of islands, you know what I mean, that you tested
in my spare time this weekend, I could make enough items and enough different classes of soldiers that replayability is interesting.
Yeah, but programming it and testing it's one thing.
No, but I mean, like, at least, realize that you have no content. you know.
Yeah, and I mean, hopefully
don't know.
I mean, it looks good, and it's one of those things where
I think they're a good company. I just don't think the game was fully fleshed out.
Yeah, that's fair, and it's tricky with some of these indie games and their shadow drops, right? I mean, I'm very sensitive about what games I buy, and I usually wait until I see some sort of review or see some sort of feedback. I commend you for your bravery. Having
Honestly,
gone and bought a random game.
Because for some reason, I was like, this looks like a strategy tactical game. The way it was shown in the Indie Direct is not at all what the game actually is.
Yeah, it's deceiving, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and here's the thing: they really should say during these directs, if they're going to say coming out right now, they should kind of tell you what it is. It's almost deceiving for them not to tell you that it's procedurally generated like that. Because I really thought it was a progression-based game.
Yeah, me too.
And
I
I prefer progression-based.
Me too. Or like, don't lose your content when you die.
Yeah, exactly. Or
Have
like
something
Dead Cells
carry over.
where you carry something over. Okay, well, let's move on because I feel like we've given Bad North a bad enough time. Pun intended.
Yeah.
Let's go through I have a list of all the games that were shown during the Nindies here with a little bit of information for each.
Okay.
Let's go through them in order. The first one they showed off was this one called Night Call.
Okay.
Comes out early 2019, and it's like you're a cab driver who helps the police solve crimes by talking to your customers.
Oh yeah. It's black and white, I think, right?
I don't know if it's black and white, but it's got like a very dark noir look to it.
Yeah, it looked interesting. It's not my kind of game, but I mean, it looks kind of interesting.
I mean, it's more or less seems to me like it's a talking simulator.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of those these days, and they end up doing pretty well.
I don't know how they do. I don't really know the sales. I just know that I'm personally not that interested in them. Like, I don't mind a talking simulator if it's mixed into other gameplay. Like, for example, the way you used to have to talk your way out of conversations in the old Indiana Jones games by LucasArts, or Maniac Mansion, or those, or even Hotel Dusk. Like, I don't mind dialogue trees or Mass Effect. Hell, lots of games.
But I mean, like games like Detroit, right? Or
Heavy Rain,
or Life is Strange. Like those games are pretty popular.
Well, the thing with Detroit or Heavy Rain is that, and I haven't played Detroit yet. I'm really excited to. Is that it's you don't just talk, right? You're actually also moving, walking, interacting with the world, even if it's kind of guided. You still make choices that are like, do I punch him or do I run? Do I duck or do I jump? You know what I mean? It's not just. And you have to make these decisions quick. So it feels much more engaging, and the presentation of Detroit is fantastic. So, I mean, it's hard for me to look at something like Night Call and be like, well, I'm looking at basically a 2D animated almost, it looks like a comic strip, and I'm just dealing with dialogue tree after dialogue tree in one cab.
Yeah.
It's just not engaging to me. And I get that. I don't see how it is to anybody, but I mean,
I think the people that like those kind of games are going to be the ones that get it, and they'll like the game. But I agree, it's not for me.
Yeah, I mean, even in something like Phoenix Wright, which I like, at least you're kind of doing some investigation, and you're in this kind of silly court scenario. I don't know. I think for me, I like a little more variety to my gameplay. I think it's something that maybe on a mobile phone I'd enjoy more, but not on the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, that's early 2019, so we'll see how that does. You got the sirens going in the background, eh?
Yeah, sorry, my window's open. Yeah,
another EB Games break-in.
I live on a busy street.
Okay, so next game that they showed off is Monster Boy.
Yep.
Coming November 6th. I believe it's Japanese developed. I think Sega's publishing, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not sure.
It's got a really beautiful graphics. It's like an SNES inspired style, but really, I would think the graphics look really good. Good.
I wouldn't say it's SNES. I think it looks more like a Flash game in a good way, like very smooth, almost like vector art almost.
Almost like Hollow Knight.
Yeah, a little more computerized than hand drawn, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, but I think at least the characters are hand drawn. It looks very unique.
Yeah, it looks good.
And you can change between different animals to solve puzzles, and it looks like, there's some interesting mechanics going on where you can turn to you can fly. I think is one of the animals. One of them can create ice, and then you can like block lava falls and stuff. And there's some cool mechanics, and like the graphics look really good. Comes out in November, so something I'm keeping my eye on because it almost looks like it's going to scratch that itch that maybe Owlboy didn't quite deliver on. You played Owlboy, right?
I didn't. I heard it was. Oh, heard it was good, but not great.
I mean, it looks really good. The graphics look good, but it just looks really short. Sorry, not look short. I heard it was short, and I heard the game basically once it feels like it gets going is when it ends. So maybe this Monster Boy kind of scratches that itch of being the big 2D adventure with a little bit of that Geomon, upgrading and town.
Yeah, it
Gameplay.
definitely is a game I want to keep an eye on. This game is up my alley. It looks good. Looks like it's well made, smooth gameplay. I like that adventure style, so yeah, I'm gonna keep an eye on this one for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many indie games out there. It's like going to a candy store and only being able to buy 2 candies. They're all probably gonna be good, but you want to get the best candy for your money.
Exactly, yeah.
But I gotta say, with this Monster Boy one, it looked great. But man, that trailer had some terrible music to it. I don't know if you remember. It was like a lyric. There was like lyrics in the song, and it sounded like kind of like a Saturday morning cartoon.
Oh, I do remember the song. Yeah.
And to be honest, like these are Saturday morning cartoons from my childhood, 15, 20 years ago. Had these kind of sing-along intros, but I mean, it just dates it. It makes it feel so dated. Like this is a game that belonged, like the song belonged in a commercial from the 90s.
Yeah, it's another reason I think I kind of felt that whole. It's like a flash game that you would see on like a website.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like it's well done, but it's not all cohesive. It's not like hot. It's like doesn't look or it doesn't come across as high quality or high end product always.
Well, it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell because I find that the flash style can look good, but at the same time, sometimes it looks good in a trailer. Like, wow, this looks really beautiful, but then your hit detection's really bad, your AI is really bad, your jumping mechanics are really, really floaty or something, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, well, it looks good, but the actual mechanics of the world aren't very strong. And that's something I really liked about Hollow Knight was that the controls are very fluid, and you had a really good understanding of what you could do. It had good hit detection. It was smart.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess we'll have to wait on reviews for this one. But let's move on.
Okay.
There's The Gardens Between. Comes out September 20th. It's a puzzle game. I've heard some things online that this game, people are surprised this is coming to Switch. They say, this is a unique, like it's a highly sought after game. Like it's something that people are looking forward to. And it's something that's already come out. It hasn't come out on other systems yet, but it is coming out, I believe, to PS4 and Steam as well. And it looks cool. It's kind of like this. You're on like these little isometric planetoid things. I guess they're gardens, and you have to kind of solve puzzles to get you and your friend through them. The graphics look really cool. I'm not really sure what's going on gameplay wise, but I've heard this might be really interesting. So it's something to keep my eye on for sure.
Yeah, it looks interesting to me too.
It comes out very soon. So
Oh, when's the release date?
September 20th.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, they have these Nindies, and they announced some games coming out in 2019, a year away. But before that game comes out next year, there'll be so many indie games we haven't even heard about. It's like this is like I feel like these Nindies Directs almost choose the cream of the crop to show off.
Well, I think so because I'm sure these games get huge sale boosts from this.
Oh yeah, I mean they get the Nindies Direct had a couple 100,000 views last time I checked. So I think it does really well, and I think these shadow drops do really well too, like Bad North and the game Morphe's Law. Like these games probably get a big boost in sales just by being today now, and people get excited, they go buy it right away.
Yeah, agreed.
Which to me is a little bit, I don't know how I feel about that, but I guess buyers beware, right?
Yeah.
But it's just interesting because it'll be like, hey, here's an Indies Direct, and like, next week this game you don't even know is coming to Switch. And it's like something that was maybe previously announced for other consoles. And then meanwhile, they're going to announce something in 2019 that we won't hear about until Lord knows when. But meanwhile, today there's probably a bunch of unknown indies coming out that we never even heard about. So it's kind of this weird. There's just so many of them coming out. How do you even curate them? Like, there's more indies coming out for Switch than there's movies coming out in theaters.
Yeah.
Like, you really, it's very hard to keep up with all of them.
Especially with all the shovelware too, because anyone's trying to put something on a Switch.
Yeah, and truthfully, I know a lot of people have complained about the eShop on the Switch, and it's not perfect. I don't have a problem with it because most of the time I'm searching online for what I'm going to buy anyways. So there's much better ways to find out what I'm going to buy. But I don't.
I also don't often buy. I'm not like that much of a niche indie game buyer, so I will only pretty much buy things that are in the top 20.
Yeah, exactly. Or things that I've heard about or strongly recommended to buy. Like, it's very, very rare for me to just randomly buy an indie game. Actually, I don't think I've ever done it. Anyways, let's move on. The next game in this Nindies Direct was Streets of Rogue. Comes out winter 2018. I don't really know what winter 2018 means. I guess it means like December.
I think it's December to March 20th.
But isn't winter 2018 means that it's going to come out in 2018? Like,
oh yeah, that's true.
So to me, that kind of means like a vague late fall. The Streets of Rogue is kind of like a top-down. It's co-op. It's another roguelite. It's called Streets of Rogue. I could not tell what was going on in this trailer. I think at one point you're fighting zombies, and another point you're arresting people, and at one point you're a vampire sucking blood. I really don't understand.
Oh, to me it looks like a lot like Enter the Gungeon, but
yes.
multiplayer.
It did look a lot like Enter the Gungeon, but it kind of had this horror theme going on with... And Enter the Gungeon does have multiplayer now, I believe.
Oh, okay.
I believe I had a patch.
I just know that they really emphasize it in this game. It looks really fun. Honestly, the price is right, and it's well done. Like, I would love to play this with some friends.
No, I gotta say, this style of graphics does not mesh with me.
Yeah, me neither. I think this game would be a fun, simple game to play. I'm sure people would be having fun and laughing if you play this with friends.
Yeah, this whole graphical style of everything in the kitchen sink kind of grosses me out. Like, at least something like Binding of Isaac. I know it's like the classic to go back to. It's like got a very cohesive art style. So does Hollow Knight. So does Dead Cells. So does some of these other games we've mentioned, like Monster Boy and Garden Between. I don't feel like Streets of Rogue had a very cohesive art style. It felt like there was so much going on I couldn't even really piece it together. But I get that I'm not maybe the main audience for this type of game. I mean, I don't get excited by that kind of thing. So a lot of people seemed excited by it. I'm sure it's going to be a high quality game. It looks fun for what it is. I just don't think it's for me. Depends on the price. I mean, at the end of the day, though, I can always be swayed by price and positive feedback and reviews.
Yeah, I agree. This one, my interest is there, but I'm not probably gonna get it.
Okay. The next thing they showed off was Bad North, which I think we covered enough. It's bad. Don't buy it.
Do not buy it unless it has some serious changes. Do not buy it.
Yeah, good graphics though.
Yeah.
The next one looked cool. It's called Moonlighter. I don't know if you remember these games or if you're needing to like look them up on your end.
I'm looking them up as you say them.
Okay, because I watched the whole Nindies Direct twice and took notes the second time, so I really took it in. This one looked really cool. It's kind of like it's like a top-down, like a bird's eye. What do you call these? Bird's eye view style game.
Top down is usually what we call them.
Yeah, top down. It's like it looks very Zelda inspired.
Yeah, I was gonna say Zelda.
It's got really cool pixel animation.
Yeah, it looks gorgeous.
Yeah, it looks gorgeous, and it looks like it's got some sort of deep crafting system as well. I mean, it looks kind of awesome.
It's funny. I don't remember this game at all in the Direct, but just talking about this now, this might be my greatest interest out of the Direct.
Yeah, it looks really awesome. Cool. And some of the indoor areas remind me of Stardew. I don't know, just like that kind of warm wooden, like lots of details. It feels like a home.
It looks like it's almost like. Have you ever heard of the game Blossom Tales?
Yes.
So I have Blossom Tales on the Switch. It's a really fun game. It looks very similar to that, where it's kind of like probably a contained, almost Link to the Past Zelda kind of game, where it's not as huge, but it's kind of like one of those small games. This looks cool.
Yeah, I mean, again, it comes out autumn 2018, and I think I'd just hold off on reviews myself. I always do.
Yeah.
Because I just. If it's one of
you never know.
You never know. And the one thing that turned me off of Moonlighter actually was when it kind of showed how deep the crafting goes, because sometimes I don't really want a deep indie game. I don't know if you feel that way, but
Yeah, I just want a simple, well-made, fun game. I know what you mean.
Yeah, yeah. Like
I don't need something intense, or I don't even need something that's 40 hours. Like even a good 10-hour fun ride is worth it.
yeah, I think that's why indie games with a lot of dialogue turn me off, because I really am just looking for a quick gameplay experience. I'm not looking for the story and the crafting and the depth. I mean, I'm not a big crafting.
You'd like Blossom Tales, Peter.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I recommend it.
Is it on Switch?
Yeah, I got it. It's pretty cheap too, and it's like basically playing A Link to the Past before getting to the Dark World. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I saw you play it. So it looks a lot very, very inspired by A Link to the Past.
Yeah.
Side note here, I heard a rumor, probably a fake one, that A Link to the Past was going to be remade for 3DS in A Link Between Worlds style. What do you think?
Oh, and A Link Between Worlds style.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely possible. I'd be surprised if they did that and didn't put it on the Switch, to be honest.
Well, I mean, I could say the same thing about Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah, but to me, Zelda, especially Link to the Past, remade, is a way bigger deal and a way bigger franchise than Luigi's Mansion.
I agree, and especially it's like remastering an all-time classic on a dead system. It makes
Exactly.
no sense. Anyways, okay, back to this Nindies. The next game is called The War of Mine. Actually, they actually showed 3 games off after that. The 3 games they showed off were Moonlighter, the This War of Mine, and Children of Morta. I believe they're all some of the same developer.
Yeah, The War of Mine is... I don't know if it's been out, but I've seen it numerous times on PlayStation.
Yeah, so I did some research on this game. It comes out in November. It's already out on PS4 and Steam, I believe, and it actually came out in 2014. Like, it's an older game.
Yeah, I've seen this a few times.
It sounds actually awesome. So basically, the idea is it's a zombie apocalypse, and it's kind of like in a side scroller-esque manner. But I think for the most part, you kind of find a hub and stay there. Like, you find your place to hide out.
Mm-hmm.
The graphics look really cool, and you have to make really tough decisions. I actually checked out reviews. They're mostly in the 8s range, so I got good reviews. And it's like a point-and-click simulator. And it's just really cool because you kind of have a survivor group that can get depressed and they can starve. And interesting, like there was one, I watched the IGN video review of it, and the reviewer was saying that at one point he had to make a decision of one of his I guess survivors had been life threatened by another group, so he sent one of his guys out with a shotgun to, I guess, kill them kill them all and steal their medication or something. And basically the act that you had him do tormented him so much, he had so much PTSD, and it kind of pushed the line of what all the survivors were comfortable with. They didn't really feel like, killing innocent people for medicine. So they all kind of got depressed and their morale went down. And then some of them refused to go out scavenging. They would start diminishing what they would do. And he said just that one decision that he was like doing well with his group, that one decision had totally turned things around. And before he knew it, he was back to his people starving. So it's really got these interesting moral choices in it. Like, do you kill a doctor for medication that you can't afford? Do you know what I mean? Do you let someone else in your camp? Like, it sounds like there's all these really cool decisions that is much deeper than most games' decision making.
Yeah, the gameplay sounds cool. It sounds interesting. I actually don't really like the graphic style. It doesn't really do anything for me. But the gameplay does sound cool. I was interested in this game when it first came out on the PlayStation 4. But I just don't know if it's for me. But it does sound cool.
Yeah, like these types of games, to me, they have a whole new life on a handheld, because now it's something that I don't mind just turning on, doing a little bit, versus, turning a PS4 on and loading up the game with your controller on your TV. It's a bit more of an investment, I feel like.
Yeah.
So these types of games, they maybe have a better life on the Switch. I think this War of Mine looks really cool, but still going to see how I'm feeling. If it comes out in November, what else is coming out in November? Where do I want to spend my money? This and that.
Yeah.
Next, they showed Children of Morta, which is, to be honest, very similar to Moonlighter in its style. It's got that top-down perspective with pixel-style graphics, and it's kind of got that, Zelda-feeling adventure.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell which one looks better out of Early Morta or Moonlighter, but I Morta looks a little bit more my cup of tea because it seems like there's less about the crafting and it's more about action.
Mm-hmm.
And I really thought it was cool how you kind of leave this home of people, and then I guess in the trailer, like one of them like opens a secret layer to a new area, and it just seems kind of neat. I really like that pixelated style of graphics. I think when that style of pixel graphics comes together with good controls, it feels so satisfying. It's like Dead Cells, like it's a very satisfying mix.
Yeah.
But I mean that comes in early 2019, so we'll see.
Yeah, that's a ways away.
The next one is Everspace.
Mm-hmm.
This was probably had the best graphics of anything during the direct.
Yeah, this game blew me away, honestly, graphically.
Yeah, it looks so good I couldn't believe it is coming to Switch, and I wonder how well it's going to run. Like, are you showing us the PC version? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is procedurally generated.
For me though. If this game, it doesn't really bother me.
Yeah, I mean, if it's just like playing a little mission at a time, it depends. It really procedurally generated is a loaded concept. It really depends on how that's presented
Or and what genre of game you're trying to make.
Yeah, exactly. Everspace has a 78 on Metacritic. Apparently, it's pretty good. And I heard somebody else vouch for it on Reset Era. They said it's a good game. It's for what it is. It's fun. I mean, it's definitely on my radar. I mean, it comes out in December, which is like Smash Bros. Territory.
Yeah.
So pretty dangerous, pretty risky. The next one was Baba Is You. It's called.
Yep.
Comes out this autumn, and I just watched this trailer. I said, "What the hell's going on?" So the game's already out, I believe, on PC or some demo. I watched some gameplay of it.
Yeah, it's like a weird game with like rules. That I was watching this and I had no idea what they were trying to do.
So I went. I don't know if it's out yet. I don't know if I think it might just be coming to Switch and PC. But I watched like a PC demo of it, and it looks interesting. It's basically like a top-down, very rudimentary graphics, like very rudimentary. Like looks like it could have been done on the NES. And you basically there's words on the screen, and you kind of push them around. So it starts off saying "Baba is you," and you walk around as this guy named Baba, but you can push a new word to replace Baba. So you walk over to like the tree, and then you go, "Tree is you," and then and immediately when you move the tree in front of it, now you're moving the tree. So it's kind of a little
it's
bit.
Like you change the rules of the game.
Exactly, you change the rules of the game, and I think you have to eventually maybe take something like winning and make winning is you to win, or you is winning. I don't know. It's looks interesting. I mean, it's not my kind of game. I need better graphics. I need more.
Yeah, visual stimulus.
I don't like seeing the game. Do you know what I mean? I want to feel like I'm lost in the world. I don't want to see the gamification of it all.
Yeah.
So this one's not really on my radar, but it does look interesting. And it's, to me, it's one of those games that's more like an art piece. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's kind of like it's from an auteur. I think they even said in the trailer it's by, I can't remember the name, by this person. So it's almost something that kind of transcends being just a game, and it's more of like having a silly claymated weird figure on your shelf. Like it's something akin to that.
Yeah.
Anyways, next is Slay the Spire. Speaking of card battle games earlier.
Yeah.
It's like a card battle RPG. It's medieval. I mean, the trailer they showed had all these raving reviews. Someone even said, I think one of the reviews was, "This is the best game I played in a decade," or something crazy.
In recent years.
In recent years, and it's like, really? Did you not play anything?
But some people really do love card games. Like, it doesn't, as much as we might not like the graphics or whatever, if it's a good card game, people will play it.
Yeah, I guess so. It just seems to say, like, this is the best game I've played in years. You should probably say, but I really love card games above all else. Like, okay. It's kind of misleading. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's like every advertisement in all advertising.
I guess so. I mean, fair enough. But I'm not really that interested. It looks like it's just a card battle game.
This isn't the card game I would play. I would rather wait for one of the higher-end card games.
Yeah. After that was Windjammers.
Yeah.
Along with Windjammers 2. I thought it was kind of weird to announce the first one and the sequel at the same time.
Yeah, talk about deflating the value of the first one.
Yeah, I mean, now I did some research on these because Windjammers is an older game.
Yep,
Actually,
Super Nintendo, I think, right?
no, it actually came out on the Neo Geo in 1994, I think it is.
Hmm.
And it was remade for the Vita and PS4 with online play. And I guess people love this game. I mean, I looked at it. It looks cool. I mean, when I look at it, it kind of seems like how could I ever be good enough to play this? Because it looks like everyone playing is amazing.
It has a huge tournament scene, yeah.
But yeah, it's apparently very popular, and I don't know. It's something I might just grab. It's like it's probably not too expensive, and it's probably a decent little multiplayer game. Looks like it'd be a great game to play on the 2 players on the portable.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of those kind of pick up and play for 20-minute kind of games.
Yeah. And Windjammers 2 they announced coming out next year, probably late next year. They showed
No gameplay, but
they showed some screenshots of it though, and it doesn't have the pixelated style. It's more of that flash anime, like that smoother, almost like the Monster Boy style. Maybe that's a bad comparison, but it's not pixelated. So I saw some people disappointed with that.
I know what you're talking. Oh, I haven't seen any pictures of it till just now.
Yeah, you see what I mean, eh?
Yeah, it's more like, again, like almost like a flash, like animated kind of vector art.
Yeah, I mean, to me, when I see that kind of style, part of me thinks, "Uh-oh, is this going to be like a mobile game?" But the other part of me says, "Well, if they pull off the animation to be slick enough to match that style, it could be something very beautiful."
Mm-hmm.
Like Hollow Knight.
Yeah, and if people love the first game, I'm sure they're gonna try to stick to the original.
Yeah, and there was some interesting drama where I guess the designer, developer of the game said there'll never be a sequel. He said this a couple of years ago at like an E3 interview. And he said there will never be a Windjammers 2. So people have taken this little clip of him saying that and they think it's funny. Now there is. Interestingly, Windjammers 2 is coming to Switch and PC first, where it originally kind of got its hooks as an indie game on the PS4 Vita. So it's interesting that it's kind of made that jump. It's almost like they've completely made that jump to Switch.
Yeah, I mean, the Switch is such a good indie game system, though. I don't know, or maybe Nintendo threw some money at it.
I don't think Nintendo threw money at it, but I think it actually speaks more to the fact that indie games sell really well on Switch, like a lot better than their counterparts.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think developers are seeing this, and to be honest, I think developers are in a way smart to launch on Switch first. Like,
yeah.
I think Hollow Knight had a more pronounced effect by being shadow dropped on Switch first and not being multi console. Like it came out as a reason to play it on Switch, a reason to have a Switch. You know, something to play on Switch this summer, and I think it's a good strategy.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's just doing so well. Why not?
Yeah, I actually think it gives, for these indie games to go, at least go exclusive to one platform, like whether it's Xbox or PS4, it gives them a lot of spotlight that they wouldn't have otherwise. Do you know what I mean? It's like, oh, this is a PS4 exclusive. No, like it gives Sony the push to want to advertise it themselves, and you know what I mean, things like that.
Yeah,
so,
I agree.
I don't know. I thought it was interesting. I mean, it's on my radar. I think, Windjammer's at the right price. But the one thing I do know is that, years down the line or a year or so, a lot of these indie games are going to start going on sale, and it's going to be crazy. Like, I don't have a ton of indie games now, maybe like 6 or 7 on my Switch.
You have like 20, I thought.
Well, I have a lot of non-indie games. Maybe we got about 10. But I think years to come down the line, I'm going to have a lot more, because when these games start going on sale, it's going to be very easy to just grab. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's only a couple more games left. We have Prison Architect Nintendo Switch Edition. Another shadow drop came out the day of the Nindies Direct. It's a prison simulator.
This game looked very cool to me.
It's got an 83 on Metacritic. And apparently it's a pretty high-profile game. It looks really cool. Looks like there's a ton of depth.
Someone told me even if you don't like the art style because it looks kind of simple, the game has a lot of depth to it.
It looks like it. Yeah, it looks like. I mean, you can share your maps online and do all sorts of things.
It is expensive, is the one thing I would say.
It's like $30, right?
It's 40 Canadian, but yeah, 30
Yeah,
bucks.
$30 is yeah. So it's pricey, and the thing that I heard about it was that it feels like it's a little bit of a PC game, like it was made for a mouse, and it's not fully optimized for console, so it feels a little weird. Like maybe you're just moving a pointer around with an analog stick, which is not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit on the fence about it. I don't know. It's there's a lot of these prison simulators out. There's also the Escapist. Not really a prison simulator, but
Yeah, that's a little different.
but yeah, I mean, I haven't really taken too much interest in them. But yeah, I've heard good things about this one. So if you're into that, check it out.
Yeah, I wish I had gotten this game as opposed to Bad North.
I'm surprised you didn't. I'm surprised Bad North was the game you took a jump on.
I just honestly, from the 1 minute, it looked like a tactical strategy RPG kind of game, and I like those kind of games.
I would never buy a indie game like that.
I know. I didn't think it through.
Yeah, well, someone's got to do it to let the people know.
Yeah, well, you're one of the people that said, "Hey, let's just both buy a random indie game and talk about them."
I know, and I didn't. So, the last one on the list, and seemingly like they made this as if it's the highest profile game of the Direct, is this one called Morphe's Law.
Yeah.
Shadow dropped as well. And it's basically a shooter where you grow and shrink, and I think if you shoot someone and hit them, you grow, they shrink. It's got gyro aiming. Apparently, the gyro aiming is well done. I love gyro aiming, by the way. It's something that I really, really want in all shooting games now.
Mm-hmm.
One of the reasons I'll probably get Doom Eternal on Switch. Anyways, Murphy's Law looks pretty fun. It's got kind of got like a Guacamelee graphic style, like a little bit Mexican inspired.
Okay. Okay.
That's what I meant by Guacamelee.
Okay.
Not like 2D. I get it. It's like
Yeah,
more like
so it has a Mexican theme, is what you mean.
yes.
Okay.
I was just trying to say that politically correct. I didn't want to offend anybody. And this game looks fun. But to me, it seems like it should have been free to play, where it's $20, which means I think it's $30 Canadian. So I'm not going to get this. I've heard mixed things. I heard it said, even in the trailer, they say 60-ish FPS. Did you see that?
No.
Okay, so in the actual trailer for Morphe's Law,
That's still pretty good, though.
yeah, but apparently it gets way lower than that. Like apparently it really chugs along sometimes online. I don't know if that's lag, but people were complaining about some of the frame rate issues who had early adopters of the game. And I just think it's funny that they said 60-ish. Like, what is that? It's almost cute. It's clever, but it's kind of like, okay, well, what is it, 25?
Yeah.
And maybe it runs at 60 when there's no one else playing.
Staring at a wall.
I've heard mixed things about it. It looks really cool. It looks like it could be a great game. But this type of game, to be honest, and it's been brought up in other discussions, with Fortnite and Paladins being free to play, it's really it's a hard sell to get a multiplayer shooter for a cost.
Yeah, agreed. Unless you're a huge, like, Overwatch.
And Overwatch came first, right? Overwatch was out before Fortnite. I don't think Overwatch could come out today and charge full price.
Oh, I disagree. I think Blizzard's such a monolith that you could.
I do. I just think the sales would not be quite what they were. Like, I think the sales would be hurt. Like, Fortnite has done a huge dent to this world of multiplayer shooters. So I really actually disagree. I think that while I think Overwatch would do well if it came out now, I don't think it would do as well being a full-priced multiplayer shooter. And the same with Morphe's Law. I don't think this game's going to do that well. I think it should have been free to play or much cheaper. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the biggest problem is to have an online, it's a 4v4 online game. To have that sustainable for any amount of time as an indie game, you need a huge player base. So
exactly.
You can't charge a game $20, $30 and hope that you have a player base after a week, you know?
Yeah, I mean, even a demo or something would have been I mean, I want to try this, but I don't want to pay $30 to try it. You know what I mean? That's kind of my caveat. Like, I like shooters like this. It looks really fun. But you're right. I mean, at that price point, they've got to be a bit careful, because if not enough people buy it and play it, then the online community dies and the game dies, and there's not much you can do at that point.
Agreed.
So that's basically concludes the Nindies Direct, and we should comment, by the way, that a lot of these release dates, like this was a European Nintendo of Europe released video. So all of these dates we've said are probably subject to change, although I imagine that most of them will stay the same for North America as they do Europe.
Yeah.
I don't hear about too many indie games coming out months and months beforehand in a different territory. So I think
maybe a week at most.
yeah, totally. So I don't know. I think for me the highlights were probably I'm looking through the list here. I mean, to me, nothing really blew me away. Nothing was like, I need that, or I really want that. Nothing really jumped at me.
Yeah, I agree.
But there's a lot of games on here on my radar. You know, I've got Monster Boy, The Gardens Between, Moonlighter, Everspace, Children of Morta, Windjammers 1 and 2.
Yeah, there's a lot of good-looking games, interesting games that I agree. Nothing that was like, whoa, I need to get this.
Yeah, I mean the only game that I'm really leaning on is this Messenger game, and I'm surprised they didn't show it off yesterday. Comes out on August 30th. This kind of Ninja Gaiden inspired game looks really cool. If I hear good things about it, I'm all over it.
Another game I want to mention that wasn't mentioned at this Direct, I don't know if it was mentioned in the spring one, but it's called Wargroove. Yeah,
that was mentioned when they first showed off the Switch, I believe, in January 2017. They showed Wargroove.
And it looks awesome. It looks like Advanced Wars.
Advanced Wars, yeah.
But in fantasy with like dragons and archers and stuff. It looks really cool. I'm surprised they didn't talk about it unless it's being announced or something soon. It just seems like it was kind of pushed to the side when it seems very popular or heavily wanted. So I'm looking forward to that game.
The other thing with these indie games is that I'm really looking forward to that too. But a lot of these indie games they don't have big development teams, right? Like they could be 3 or 4 people.
Yeah.
So, and I think sometimes these indie developers, they have to show their games a bit early to garner up excitement and, to help them out. And they can't just keep it secret until it's ready. So I think you fall into this trap with indie games a lot more where they are shown off maybe way too early. I remember at the first Switch unveiling, they showed off that game. I think it's called Pocket Rumble or Pocket Fighters.
Oh, yeah.
They also showed off Wargroove, and Pocket Fighters was supposed to come out early on in the Switch, and it took over a year to come out. It just came out recently. Apparently it's pretty good. So Wargroove probably is in that situation where we'll hear about it in 6 months or 8 months, and it'll just come out next year.
Yeah.
It looks awesome, though. It looks like Advance Wars, and, I'd rather them spend the time and make it right. Like, how long did Hollow Knight take? 5 years?
Something
so
crazy.
You never know, though. I mean, next week is PAX, which is another game show. I think mostly for indie games, and usually what they do is Nintendo of America will have their own Nindies Direct during PAX. So we might hear more. It might be a little bit of the same we've already seen, but there's a chance we might hear more there. Maybe we will see Wargroove.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah.
I didn't realize PAX was next week.
I think it's in August. It's late August, and we're late August already. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, August 31st.
Yep.
Cool.
Now I had a question for you. Is there any indie games that you want to come to Switch that have not?
I mean, I guess a card game, but I don't know if they're really indie. So no. And most of the indie games that I would want, I already have on PlayStation. For example, Limbo. I mean, I know Limbo and Inside Story did come to the Switch.
Just Inside, but yeah.
Yeah, but I already have those, so most of my desire is pretty tame, I guess.
Now, I know just the other day, Guacamelee number 2 came out for PS4.
Yeah. No. Oh, it's PS4. Yeah. I had the first one for PS4.
I never played the first one. I had the first one for PS4 too because I got it on PSN, but I never really played it.
I you know what? I played I don't know, 6 hours of it. It's a really good game. It's well made. It's not my kind of game, even though I love Metroid kind of style games. The graphic style and just the gameplay wasn't really clicking for me.
Yeah,
But
I think that was it for me
totally,
too.
I totally understand why people do love the game.
That was it for me too. The graphic style looked a little bit. I mean, it's a cool graphic style. It kind of reminds me of like snipper clips, like like cut
Yeah,
and paste.
it's like almost like paper body limbs. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah. So yeah, not really my style. But the second one just came out. It's gotten rave reviews.
Hmm.
And I don't know if these are going to come to Switch eventually, or I don't even know if Guacamelee 1 is on Switch yet. I believe it came out for Wii U. But yeah, I mean, those are definitely that the Guacamelee 2 came out. It's a lot of hype. People like it, so maybe our listeners want to check it out on their PlayStations. Did you ever play Axiom Verge?
Yeah, I have Axiom Verge.
Is it on Switch?
I believe so.
Because I've heard mixed things about it. It's like a Metroidvania. It came out on Wii U, and I passed it by then.
I would say it is a good game. I would say it doesn't hold a candle to any Metroid game whatsoever, and I would say it's very short, and that's about it. It's a good game. I would give it a 7. It's a very solid game. It's enjoyable, but it's not comparable to the best, and it felt very short to me.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if... Oh, yeah, sorry. Oh.
You know what game I would, even though I've already beaten it, one game I would like to see on the Switch is the game called Swapper. Have you ever heard of Swapper?
Yeah, I love Swapper. I got it on I had it on Wii U and PS4.
Yeah, that game was amazing.
Yeah, it was creepy too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another short game though.
Yeah, I don't mind it though. I don't mind those kind of short puzzle games. I wouldn't mind
Me
seeing
neither.
The Witness on the Switch. That's what I would love to see.
Oh yeah?
I would actually, even though I could probably beat that game so quickly now that I know all the puzzles, I would play that game on the Switch. It's such a good game for a handheld. It's one of those games you can kind of pick at on the puzzle. I'm surprised it actually hasn't come to the Switch. I'm shocked. And it might have something to do with performance, because that game is pretty taxing.
Yeah, and maybe it's coming. You never know. Like sometimes these indie developers just, hey, it's here now, today, so you never really know.
Yeah, that's true.
Trying to think of what games I'd like on Switch. I mean, I'd love to see Ori and the Blind Forest come out for Switch.
that will never happen. Did you ever play the first? Did you ever play the first one?
No, I don't have an Xbox One.
No, I put it on PC.
I don't have a PC.
Well, you can play it on Mac.
Oh, okay. Well,
I have it on Steam.
I'm eventually going to buy an Xbox One, so I'll have it then, but it looked great.
If there's one game, I mean, 2 games. If there are 2 games that I wish I could play, or have an Xbox just to play, it would be the Ori games and the second one that comes out, and Cuphead. Those are the only games I wish I could play, but don't really have a way to, because my computer is so old, it like barely played the first Ori.
Same here, but you know what? Those Xbox One S's are real cheap.
Yeah, and give it another 2 years, it'll be even cheaper.
Yeah, I'm probably looking at maybe like somewhere next year diving into an Xbox One S, getting some of the gamer pad, like playing some of the older games that I want to play, up-resed,
Yeah.
and playing some of these indie games I want to play, and maybe Gears 5. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just gonna get a new computer.
I'm not a big computer gamer. I'd rather sit with a controller.
I mean, but even a decent laptop will play those games.
True. Yeah, I mean, they're pretty simple. I mean, Ori looks great. I mean, Ori looks really amazing. It's a Metroidvania.
If you haven't played the first one, Peter, I highly recommend playing that game.
Is it better than Hollow Knight for you?
I would say it's up there. I would say it's like 1 and 2 as far as Metroid best. It's up there.
Axiom Verge, no.
No, Axiom Verge is more like a very solid of that style, but it's a good game if you want to play one, but it's not in that league of like phenomenal. Ori is in the league of phenomenal.
Wow, and it looks beautiful too.
And the music is amazing. The gameplay is amazing. Seriously, I highly recommend that game. I'm surprised you haven't played it. Like, I'm sure it would run on your computer.
Yeah, I just really don't like playing games on my computer. I don't know what to say. I work on my computer. I'd rather walk away and play elsewhere.
Yeah, good point.
Indie-wise, is there anything else to talk about in the indie scene?
No.
Should we talk about Dead Cells?
You go ahead. I don't own the game.
So, I love Dead Cells. I'm surprised that you don't have it or don't want it. I've never liked games like this before. I've never liked games like this before. What do you call them? Roguelites.
Yeah.
But this game just does it right because you can go multiple different paths and you do upgrade every time you die. So there is a sense of accomplishment. And you get better at it. The controls are really good, but what I really like about it is that you get a different item set almost every time. It's kind of random what items get dropped, like for your main weapons.
Mm-hmm.
So you're almost, most of the time, I like to have my projectiles and my wolf traps and things like that. But there are sometimes you go in, you don't get those, and you have to work with what you got. You end up you have. And the last time I played, I had this really cool magic spell where I would kind of put a giant, powerful, glowing orb in front of me, and it would just kind of kill everyone in its path. And I'd never seen that before, and it's just cool because every time you play, you feel like you're building up a new set, and you can get into it and say, "Wow, I'm having a really good run here. I'm gonna go far this time." Or you go and say, "I'm not getting the best run. I'm not gonna go that far." So
Yeah.
it's I don't know, it's really cool. The graphics are I really like the graphics, and it's just very tight. On the Switch, I has a little bit of performance issues. The frame rate's not perfect. I know the developer said they're going to look into it in this fall. It's still very playable. It's not an issue. It just, it's not quite that Hollow Knight level of perfection.
Mm-hmm.
But really good game. I actually bought it because of Philip Mewson's review on IGN, which I learned later is actually Boomstick Games review. So I subscribed to Boomstick Games and I liked them. And to be honest, the Boomstick Games they do good reviews. It's one guy, I think. But anyways, yeah, it's funny. Like that game has so much controversy around it. Not controversy, more like drama.
For what? Just because of that? Yeah.
Because this guy.
Okay, yeah. I think that's for another time.
I think it's. I mean, I think the internet's covered the guy to death, basically.
Yes. Agreed.
But it's just funny that I saw. I liked Philip Mewson. I liked the NVC podcast. So he seems like a nice guy. So when I saw that review and he gave it a 9.7, I'm like, well, I need to jump all over this. And I'm glad that I did. And then they went and changed the review to a 9.5. So now I want a refund because I thought I was buying a 9.7. I'm just kidding. No, Dead Cells is great. Hollow Knight's great. It's been a strong year for indies on the Switch. And it seems to me that the Switch is kind of becoming the indie machine. It's like indie and first-party games is like its bread and butter.
You know what? And I'm okay with that. That it fits it perfectly. That's what I want it for. I'd rather have indies on the Switch. I'd rather have first-party games on the Switch. I'd rather have the portable. And I'd rather have all those high-end HD super first-party game or first-player games, single-player games on the PS4.
Yeah, I agree. And it's one of those things, too, where with a limited storage space on the Switch, it's hard to say, yeah, I want a 50 gigabyte game on my Switch. Like,
but that's not what I bought the Switch for. I bought the Switch for Mario and Zelda and Mario Kart and whatnot, and awesome indie games.
Well, I bought the Switch for Call of Duty and Assassin's Creed, and so I'm pretty disappointed.
Yeah, where's my Battlefield 5?
It's like I bought this for Battlefield, but I guess it's a topic for a different day. But I can see those games actually coming out for Switch. You know what I mean? Maybe not this year, maybe next year, but I can see it.
I can't at all.
You can't see a Call of Duty ever coming to Switch.
I think there's no point.
There's no point. It's all, even though it's the number one selling system.
I think it will still sell significantly better on the Xbox and the PS4 than it would on the Switch.
Yes, but back on the Wii, they found it worthwhile to make Wii and Nintendo DS versions of Call of Duty, and they sold well.
Okay, well, maybe
so I mean, to me, here's what I mean. I don't want to get in a whole side talk here. The reason that I want Call of Duty on Switch is because I think the thing is desperate for first-person shooters. I know that Doom and Castle Wolfenstein are on it, and those
Did you
games.
say Castle Wolfenstein?
Sorry, what's this called? Wolfenstein?
Yeah.
I think the old version's called Castle Wolfenstein, right? The first one
I don't know.
from the 80s, 90s, whatever. I don't know, but those are more like single player, linear style games where I think the Switch really needs an online FPS multiplayer game. I guess Doom does have multiplayer, but I mean,
Well, they have Paladins.
yeah, I mean, I think it needs something like Call of Duty, like a more military-esque, something that focuses on the online. And it's like, the Switch promotes that kind of local co-op, and I think they could show. I can see them releasing a Call of Duty trailer for Switch where it's 4 players together playing.
Yeah.
And if I was with a friend and we both had a Switch, I'd say get Call of Duty, man, because one of my favorite things about playing Call of Duty on the Wii U was that I could play with a friend in the same room on the same team on a different screen. So to be able to go to Dave's place or to hang out with you and to be able to play Call of Duty with you, have my own screen, you have your own screen, like that's pretty awesome. And I mean, why not, right? I don't need.
That's cool.
Yeah, like, and it's a fun little game to have on the go, I think. So I don't see them releasing like the Modern Warfare 4 or called Black Ops 4 or whatever they're on now for Switch, but I can see them like maybe remastering an older one or kind of doing something a little bit on the side, like a separate style of Call of Duty. Maybe they released the Call of Duty 4 remaster on Switch, with with maybe like a side mode, like a co-op mode. Like, I don't know, but totally beside the point of indies.
Yes.
Now, one indie game I'm really looking forward to is Travis Strikes Back.
Oh, wait. Oh, right. That's not the actual.
It's not No More Heroes
sequel.
3. It's like the
Yeah. It's like the
indie
side game.
It looks cool. I mean, it looks like it's designed with co-op in mind. So it like looks fun. It looks just
Travis Strikes Again.
Yeah, Travis Strikes Again.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to come out this year, but there's no locked release date. They did not show it yesterday, so I'm hoping they show it at PAX. But it's pretty much my most wanted indie game right now, just because it looks like it's really designed. It's like a beat 'em up, a 3D beat 'em up that's really designed around cooperative play. And to be honest, I can see them trying to go full retail on this one because it's apparently like 6 games in one, and the one game they've shown off is kind of like a two co-op sword fighter beat 'em up. It looks cool.
Cool.
It's definitely on my radar. Anything else to include in our conversation before we wrap it up?
Make sure you buy Hollow Knight and buy Celeste if you haven't already.
Yes, Celeste, great game. Not as good as Hollow Knight.
No, I agree.
Yeah, and also to our listeners, let us know what you think in the comments. I mean, if you've sat here for this hour and 40 minutes and listened to us, then you're clearly engaged somehow. But let us know. Subscribe, leave a comment. The more support we get, the more enthusiasm we have to do more of these. So please join us, join the community. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you want us to talk about. And most of all, let us know what you think of all these indie games. Let us know what you think of the Nindies 2018 Gamescon Direct.
Yes.
Let us know what you think about these announcements. And I guess that's signing out. What do you think? Is that sign out time?
Yeah, I think we're good to go.
All right, well, this is Pete signing out.
And this is Derek. Have a good one.